This week on the podcast, UFC International Fight Week went down. Fantastic. Okay, also, Jon Jones was a naughty boy, and the UFC has been sold.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from the Isle of Man in the UK. This is John and Mike's MMA Corner.
Okay, as we said before, UFC International Fight Week was on. Mike, crazy week. So we talk about Jon Jones now, and then we'll go into the fight?
Yeah, might as well get the bad shit bit of news out of the way, I think.
So yeah, folks, everyone knows anyway. You know, everyone will know by the time you even listen to this about the Jon Jones incident. It's now been revealed that it was estrogen or estrogen blockers, whichever way you want to say it, which essentially, if you work out, you produce testosterone. Well, as males anyway, we produce testosterone. When you're producing testosterone, the more you produce, the estrogen levels increase as well. He puts the blockages on, so he gets the benefits of the testosterone, and basically doesn't get bitch tits and, you know, the kind of subsequent of estrogen increase in the body, which obviously affects the performance. Though there could be another reason, because if you do anabolic steroids, which are performance-enhancing drugs, again, that increases you stop taking anabolic steroids when you get off the juice, when you get off the gear, your testosterone levels, which were through the roof, because your bollocks weren't producing them, you were getting them from a monkey, all right? They basically shoot down below, like, your average man levels to, like, hit pretty much rock bottom because your body's not producing it. It takes a bit of time for your body to start producing it again, and so until it balances back out again. Until there, your body produces estrogen, which essentially will give you sort of bitch tits and
you take away your ability to park.
You basically you basically lose a lot of your benefits that you earn in the gym. So there is that, could be, but we don't know. There's no tests. There's no test prior to this that showed that he maybe was juicing, because he was tested by USADA prior. So it's not people who was doing something. So look, we don't know what the situation was with the estrogen. We don't even know why he was taking it or what reason he's going to give, or if he is going to give a reason. We don't know what's going to happen with the ban, because the Athletic State Commission will automatically feel that, okay, you were taking them because you were taking performance-enhancing drugs, so we're going to give you a ban, etc. Like, my thoughts on it are, what a fucking pain Jon Jones is. I love that man in that cage. He is literally, could have been, if he didn't do all this stupid shit in his life, the best in the world that we'll ever see, probably. But instead, he just loves to fuck things up.
Yeah, there's two mega fights that we're missing out on now. There's the rematch with Daniel Cormier, which 2 years from now, Daniel Cormier might have hung him up. We don't know.
Well, definitely. What, 39, I think, by then? Maybe.
Yeah, or at least he might have gone up to heavyweight. We don't know. And Anthony Johnson. You know, we've missed out on that fight.
Gustafsson.
Yeah, and the
Gustafsson.
So there's the Gus rematch, the Anthony Johnson fight, which we've not even seen once yet, which I actually chose to go to over watching Conor McGregor fight in Vegas once. Remember when there was the fight he had with the...
I would have picked that. I would have picked that as well. I would have picked Anthony Rumble Johnson and Jon Jones.
Yep.
In fact,
well, that's what...
I rephrase that like,
yep.
Every man is done.
Because I think...
An Irish
I think
fight.
The one fighter... Well, okay, Gus came super close, and maybe even enough to do it. But I think Anthony Johnson just might have that extra, you know, that something. But we'll, if the ban is 2 years and it does stick, you know.
What's going on with appeal? We don't know anything yet. It's still super early days. So at the moment, there's no point in pointing fingers, sticking ideas out. There's also that story about how USADA turned up to the gym. He was under the cage and all this palaver. Look, we don't know, Mike. We don't know, Mike, what's happening. No one knows essentially every detail. But let's be honest, we have to sit there and wait now. There's no point.
Yeah, and to think, like we were all saying, I think we were even saying it on the last podcast, how we've been blessed with these cards on how it's managed to hold together. And then on the final hour, it was literally 2 days before, I think it was.
It was the day before the weigh-ins, yeah. It was the day before the weigh-ins.
You know what I mean? Like, for instance, let's say you were flying in from the UK or something, you would have gone by then. You know, how many people flew in for that particular fight only to find out that I'm not getting it now?
But one fight, prior to that, there was only one fight that was affected, and that was Gegard Mousasi against Thiago Santos. That was the only fight that was affected on that card, which, if you think about it, is phenomenal. It's crazy how there's only one fight in that card. Like on pay-per-view cards, you usually see a little bit of a shuffle around. Look, Demetrius Johnson's out in 201 card for a title fight against Wilson. Then I heard someone put out there should be like an interim title fight with so-and-so. And I was like, what? Demetrius Johnson fights nearly every week. You know, like he fights so regular.
Yeah, he's right. You don't need an interim.
Give the guy a break.
Yeah.
He gets injured. So what? The dude is going to fight again. It's not
that's the fact. If you become an interim champion, how laughable is that? Because that guy owns that division.
No one's close to him.
So to call anyone an interim is laughable.
No one in the 125 division would even want it, probably.
No, because they'd be like...
And then you've got Don Kim, who's out of the Neil Magny fight at 202. So those cards are already starting to get a couple of injuries and stuff like that. It's like, you kind of expect it, but like with 202, it just seemed that everything was happening. Nothing was going wrong. Because take away the Conor Nate Diaz thing, take away that, everything was ticking over, tickety-boo. And then just 2 days, absolutely ruined me. Absolutely ruined me. I was so bummed out, Mike, that day. Like, I literally was like a cloud of sadness.
But my question for that one is USADA. Why does it take you until 2 days before? When the
I can tell you, buddy, USADA, the way they do their testing, all right? On the 16th of June, he went and did a piss in a cup. Now, I'm not sure how long it took to get to the gym after he'd done his piss in the cup and whatever, right? Because obviously they have to go down to where he is, and then they have to securely take it to wherever. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt. They got there 2 days later, the 18th of June, right? The way they're testing, like, they might not test it that day because you don't know how many tests they're doing. That might be a couple of days till it gets tested. It goes like in a list. I don't know, but I know how they test it, right? And the first thing they'll do is when they test it, it comes back and says, oh, he's got titty suppressors in there. Okay, all right. They don't test that sample once. They test it a horrendous amount of times so that they can make sure that it's got the right it's got the same answer every time. So that because if they test it once, and Jon Jones can counter it and go, look, it's false reading, blah, 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 and then sue them for liability, for loss of earnings, etc. Because Jon Jones, Mike, was going to get a seven-figure deal or something like that. He's going to, like, seven-figure deal, mate, he was going to get from that fight. Stupid amount of money. Anyway, so they test it loads of times. They test it a stupid amount of times, you see. So that's why it took a bit longer than people think it takes. Didn't take that long. Okay. That's why.
But even with that in mind, that was clearly the most important fight of the whole fight week.
Right.
So that should.
Do you think Mike? Do you think USADA care about a fight card and the order and the structure of it and who's fighting who?
Clearly not.
They're not owned by the UFC. They don't care about like a structure of the card and who tests positive. They just do their job. Their job is to test samples and give the results. They don't care who it is, where they ranked, and how much it costs to the promotion itself. They said, "You employ us. We're just doing our job."
Well, I'll tell you what.
Even if, let's say they might have did it a week before, still would have cost them a fuckload of money.
Oh, Christ.
I know it was 2 days before. It would have cost some money, like if you found out a week before it. The interview was quite a powerful quite a powerful interview, really, because you just saw the human side of Jon Jones. Now, I don't know if you saw a Jon Jones that was like crying and upset and emotional because he got caught, or because he genuinely was devastated with what's happened and the fact that he maybe feels that he is innocent.
Okay, right. So what I did notice and what I did kind of feel, like, you know me, I like to sort of look into the concrete between the bricks, like, or the cement between the bricks. And I see this, okay, in my work time. You get people that kind of think to themselves, like, oh, you know, like the world owes them something and that everything happens, but it's not because of them. You know, they blame the rest of the world for everything. And with Jon Jones, it's almost like he's constantly sort of like not catching a break, shall we say? It's almost like that's how he's trying to look. And I thought to myself, like, you are to blame for 99% of the crap that happens. You know, it's him messing up. It's not like,
of course.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it's not like Dominic Cruz's knee. You know what I mean? That's a guy that you feel sorry for and who is a victim.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Look at the Jon Jones. Let's do the hit and run and run away. Like he was driving the car. He was in the car when it hit the passenger, the pregnant woman, the driver, and then he got up out the car and ran himself. It's not like there was someone else there who steered the car into that car and then dragged him out the car and made him run with him. It was Jon Jones.
Exactly. So Jon Jones wasn't the victim in that. If Jon Jones is guilty of what he's tested positive for because of something he's done, again, he's not a victim.
No.
He is somebody that's been found guilty. You know what I mean? This isn't, you know, so I think we need to not feel sorry for him. We need to sort of say, this is happening because you refuse to screw the nut.
Well, he's 28 years old. That's where I started to get to the point where, when he was younger, I was like, dude, if someone went to me and gave me all the success, I'm telling you what, I would be snorting a fuckload of coke, banging a load of birds, and that would be me. I'd be just going wild like a crazy bastard, like Chuck Liddell did in the wild days. I'd be doing it, and you know what I mean? That's because you just wouldn't have that right mindset. You could be like going 100 miles an hour. But when you're 28 years old and you've done the mistakes before, and if you remember, he did that interview with Ariel Helwani when they were walking together, and like I do feel now, like the more I remember, like the way Daniel. They're just saying it because it's smack talk, you don't get on, etc. And he started to go, Daniel Cormier's starting to get a bit of a point. He's making a bit of a point now. I understand he was crying, he was upset, but you know, you know, he's at the end of the day, you've got to turn around to yourself and say, I don't care if he's crying. This is not something that's happening through bad luck. This is something. This last 18 months or 2 years, I don't know how long it's gone on for now, is 90% of it, shall we say, is because of Jon Jones and what he chooses to do. You know, a lot of the mistakes, if there is any bad luck, it's because he's done something wrong and then something bad has happened thereafter. That's not bad luck. That's just bad thinking or no thinking. Yeah, it's just bad intentions.
So I refuse to feel sorry for him. I feel sorry for every fan, you know, that's...
Me?
I feel sorry for the retards that are cheering him.
Yay! Go Jones!
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I like watching him fight, but why are we cheering him over Daniel Cormier, who's not doing a thing wrong, and
I know
he's getting all this hate?
But do you know what? Like at that press conference when the crowd was booing, I've got to admit, I found it fucking hilarious because you could see it getting right under Daniel's skin, and you were like,
Yeah, too right. You know,
You would know Daniel inside wanted to go ape shit on that crowd and go,
Yeah.
you prick, blah, blah, blah.
It's
And you have to hold it in and bite his tongue and just be like, I'm not the one getting drunk. I'm
know
not
what?
the one doing this. And that's all he could do.
it's like somebody coming out of prison for murder or what, you know, for whatever, you know, somebody's convicted of something and saying, I've turned my life around, and everyone's saying like, that guy's just fantastic. Look at the work he's put in to turn his life around. Hang on, what about me? I've never been done. You know, the police have never had to question me for anything bad in my life, and yet.
But people like that redemption kind of story.
Yeah, they like people that can pick themselves up. But
and that's what it is. Went from a broken man to trying to reclaim
yeah,
himself.
it's like
as a
dragging
person.
yourself out of the shit sort of thing. But,
Yeah,
the thing is, what they don't see
is
is that Jon Jones runs up to the shit pond and jumps in it head first, whereas Daniel Cormier
jumps back in. But look, I don't know what's going to happen with him. We don't have a clue. He's not probably going to say a lot, to be fair. His agent will be like, shut up, we'll deal with it, and anything else you say, we're going to put it on a piece of paper, and you're going to fucking say what's on there, and not say anything off the top of your head.
Well, apparently that's what he was supposed to do in that first one, and he chose not to.
Good. I'm glad he didn't. I'm glad he was more...
I am. I think it was the right choice.
I think you won't hear anything from him until the hearing, until he started hearing. Not he started hearing, sorry, the Athletic State Commission hearing. You won't hear anything from him until then.
Well, unless he happens to drive his car into something else. Or...
no, he doesn't drive. He uses Uber. He can't drive he's banned, but he can't. He uses Uber drivers.
Because he's brilliant at following the law, isn't he?
Also then, so UFC had a bit of a tough time with that, and then the UFC 200 International Fight Week happened. Big success for them as always. You know,
First of all, I want to ask is, how surprised were you that they brought in Anderson Silva? I thought Gus was going to get the call.
No. Gus couldn't. Gus was number one, but he couldn't get over. There was a certain flight that he couldn't get on, that he missed or couldn't get onto, so it stopped him. It wrote him off straight away because he was on his way. I was following him on social media. He was at the airport, you know, on his journey, like to get there.
Right.
But the way it worked, he couldn't. Like, he missed one of the flights, and then that was it. Gone. Wrote him off. She was like all over social media, like, I'm on my way. I'm coming. I'm coming over, Dana. I'm coming. Let's do it. Put me down. Anderson Silva. He was there to induct someone into the Hall of Fame. There's a Big Nog. I think he was there to induct Big Nog into the Hall of Fame. And he was just...
no, he's already in it, isn't he?
No, well, if it's not Big Nog, it was someone then. He was there for something. He was doing work because he'd only had surgery on gallbladder surgery, hadn't done much. I was surprised, very surprised. I think everyone was really, to be fair.
I think it was. I think it was class that they brought him in because, you know, you needed another huge name.
It's a name, and secondly, redeemed himself in the sense of his testing positive result, his performances of late as well. Since he lost to Chris Weidman, his performances, he redeemed himself by taking that fight on, stepping up to the plate and doing that performance. He turned himself back into the man everyone loved.
Bit of a hero, yeah. Because
he turned into a guy that everyone was like, I have no interest in watching Anderson fight. I don't care. I don't watch him fight anymore because he's just not the same guy. And then all of a sudden now everyone's like, Anderson is the man. He should fight at 205. And to be fair, he should fight at 205.
I think so.
Because it's the shallow division. And I tell you what, if he hadn't clinched up with Cormier, he could have put Cormier away. In fact, at the end of that third round, when he hurt Cormier with that liver kick, he just had to keep picking for the last 25 seconds, and he probably would have TKO'd him. And Cormier just grabbed him and was like, nope, I'm holding on to you because I am absolutely spent and I'm fucked and I can't do this. Gutted about that.
Which, I mean, I think was Daniel Cormier emotionally spent, psychologically and emotionally fatigued. Because of,
I think he was all week. Yeah,
you know, like to be so up for Jon Jones and all that, and then to to get the news that he wasn't going to get the chance. He must have thought,
And he was devastated.
Jon
He was
Jones, what are you doing
devastated.
to me? You know. And
Have you seen the video footage, Mike, of him getting that news from David?
Yeah, heartbroken. Yeah.
He was devastated. And then he doesn't know what's going to happen. And they're saying, look, we're looking for someone. We're looking for someone. He's there trying to deal with everything.
Yeah, keep making weight. Yeah.
Trying to cut weight. And then he finally gets announced. He's like, okay, cool, Anna Silva. And it's just like, it just blows you away. Like, it just mentally, he would have been wrecked. It definitely affected his weight cut. Like, he looked really messy on that weighing scales. He didn't look good. Like, if he was like that against Jon Jones, that would not have been a good night.
Well, I think he struggles with the weight anyway. But...
He does, but I think he would have had a more focus and more. It would have been the cut would have been.
It's a step close to hitting Jon Jones. Yeah.
It would have been. Yeah, it would have been flowing, but because everything that happened, it just jittered the whole weight cut. Am I fighting him? Am I not? Should I cut? Should I just go and eat a pizza? Should I get some chicken nuggets?
And let's be honest, fighting Anderson Silva, not many people have worked out that puzzle. You know what I mean?
He's unpredictable as well, Anderson Silva.
There's only been 3 people to beat Anderson Silva in the UFC.
3 people, Mike, in the UFC. That's a good statistic. But to be fair, they're 3 of his last 4 fights, if I recall.
Yeah.
So you're making it out like, there's only 3 people. It's just looking like there's not. It's not.
It's a slide. And let's.
I just see that 3 going up to 4. I see that 4 going up to 5.
Well,
if he kept,
I mean, the thing is you've got Anderson Silva, he can only have mega fights. That's all he can really have now. I mean, don't get me wrong, they were going to do the Uriah Hall fight, which wasn't a mega fight. If I can't see Anderson Silva in mega fights, I don't want to see Anderson Silva. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. He should just do mega fights. Right, Mike?
Yeah, go on.
We're going to talk about UFC sale because we're yabbering on way too long, Mike. We've got 2
to
talk about. Right, UFC sale happened, ladies and gentlemen. Again, it was accumulation of people that announced the story. I know one person particularly did a lot of work about it. Was Jerry Botta for Flow Combat. There was a lot of work going into this whole finding out about the sale. I got to admit, buying something for $2 million and then selling it for $4 billion, it's a pretty good business transaction if you're asking me.
Yeah. Well done. Yeah. That is like. Let's not forget the UFC is a business first before it's anything else.
And it's the same value as Star Wars.
I know. And those toys are not cheap.
You'll get that a lot more because you like your Star Wars big time. So UFC, Star Wars.
It's mega. It's mega. I mean, when you think about it, there's not of all the companies in the world and all there's only a few people or a few businesses that can actually go and buy the UFC. You know what I mean?
There is. You'd be surprised, Mike, how many companies could buy it. You'd be surprised, and especially it wasn't one company. It was like a consortium. There was a couple.
Well, there was 2 major groups, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was a cluster of investors and stuff like that. So it's not just like one. It's not like Bill Gates came along and went, "I've got a couple of dollars change. I'll just go and buy the UFC," which he could have. Bought it and then some. Anyway, so the UFC was sold. If I'm honest, no matter how much shit I sometimes gave the UFC or how many times the UFC annoyed me, the work that the Fertittas and the work that Dana White put into that promotion and the time and effort they did to do what they did, the money they spent to start with to put themselves 40 mil in the red, I commend them. And I could never probay thank those guys enough if I'd met them and sat down with them. It's
the way I see it is if they hadn't bought the UFC, the sport would still exist, but we would still be in the Stone Ages.
I don't know Stone Ages, but we would not have been nowhere near as where we are now.
No. It wouldn't have been anywhere near as big. It would have been. I don't think it would have evolved as fast. Because, let's be honest, they bought it when it was still at the tournament stage, and then
Did they?
Pretty sure.
Do you know when they bought it, Mike?
In off the top of my head.
Do you know when what UFC they bought it?
Go on, remind me.
What UFC do you think they bought it around?
No, go on, tell me.
Well, radio silence. That's what we need.
Yeah, go on, tell me. I don't know.
Have a quick guess. Have a quick number guess. You said tournament stage, so have a quick guess.
20?
That's not really quick, but yeah. Well, go higher.
Oh, right. Is it 35?
Off the top of my head, I think it was UFC 33, 34, something like that.
I was going to say, because 38, I think, was the Albert Hall.
No, it was like 33 or 34, 33 and a half, something like they bought it around then. I think the first card had Tito on off the top of my head. I'm trying to remember. My head's a little bit blurry, but anyway, it is rather late as well. So, but yeah, they didn't buy it in the tournament stage. That was.
Oh right, yeah, right, okay. So, but yeah, I'm probably a bit wrong on that one then.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is there's been a lot of change due to them, and that it'd be nowhere near where we are today. Nowhere near.
No, it's, do you know what? It's, like I said to you, as much crap as we sometimes will give them or be annoyed about certain things that they do, they've done a lot of things right, and it's sometimes people won't get praise for what they do right. They'll just get shit for what they do wrong, and I'll always give a bit of shit for it. I do it with anyone though, but at the same time, I'll always be grateful for what they did.
Oh,
and
yeah.
They're more businessmen because they might feel that there's not much further they're going to push this brand, and they don't feel maybe the brand is going to go any further, etc. Dana White is staying with the UFC, though. He's staying in that position. He got a 5-year deal, like a 5-year contract. He gets 9% of the net profit each year from the UFC. So it's not a bad deal. So, and the Fertitta brothers still have a percentage of the ownership of the company as well. So it's not like they're all out and that's it. Because the companies that have taken over, they still need someone like Dana who does the day-to-day running. So you can't just get rid of Dana and expect someone to walk in and do what he's done. No. It'll be a gradual, slow transition from Dana to maybe someone over in 5 years' time.
I was going to say, I think by keeping Dana on, at least they know they've still got a working project.
Well, they've got someone who knows.
If they'd switched him and brought somebody else in, straight away it's up in the air. They're like, well, we don't know how this is going to change.
Yeah,
you Dana on board. It's like, okay, well, it's working at the moment. Let's keep it working at least,
Yeah, and with it's interesting because they have got fighters on their books like Ronda Rousey and people like that. So it's interesting to see what will happen because commissions aren't big fans of promotions having fighters on, the owners are having the rights over fighters and stuff like that. But there's no legislation to say you can't do it. So even if it was to be implemented now, it would be very tough to fight this. But anyway, there's a lot of questions with the sale. As in the future, we don't have a clue. It's literally kind of just happening. It's not even the sale hasn't even went through yet. It's just the announcements happened.
The money might not necessarily be in the bank yet.
Well, it's not that. It's not the money in the bank, Mike. It's just that it takes a lot. It's not like it's just a simple, here's a check. There's a lot of stuff to go through. There's a lot of legal stuff to go through, document. And we just...
But you know what? The bit that kind of... I still feel a little bit annoyed that they flat denied that it was a sale was being done. Like Dana White actually stood in front of us all and said, and I thought to myself, well, that was clearly a lie.
Yeah,
he clearly lied.
If you tell me that's the first time Dana's lied, well, you need a bit of help with that one because I think
no. But you know what? It's like when politicians flat deny stuff, and then the shit comes out anyway, and you're like that. We knew, everyone was saying it, and you were denying it, and
because the sale.
Why did you turn around?
Like the sale hadn't gone through, it could have affected.
No, but they were basically denying that there was any sort of deal on the cards.
Yeah, because it can affect the price. It can affect the business. It can affect everything. You keep that to yourselves. You don't sit there and go, yeah, we're talking to so-and-so and we're going to do the deal. It's going to be struck. Because then they could just sit there and go, well, it's not because we don't actually like this bit of the company. We don't like this part. And the contract wasn't, it's what you do in the business. You don't, they're not going to admit that. That happened with the TV deal, Mike, with Fox. There was the rumor of the ESPN or something like they were talking with them, and then Fox came in last minute and swooped it up. There's a lot of stuff going into that, Mike. Of course, he's going to deny it. But like I said, Mike, and everyone else, there's a lot of questions in the future. We've been rambling on too much and having fucking talked about the fights. We're going to go really quick now through the cards, Mike. Let's start quickly with the UK. Cage Warriors was on amidst all this craziness. You had a handful of fights. There was a shock, I say so to speak, with Scott Cleese beating Tim Wilde, which is a bit of a surprise. I think for a lot of people.
Scott Cleese is looking like
a man reinvented.
A little bit reborn, it's...
You've got Paddy Pimblett as well, won his fight against Teddy Violet. He did say Scousers don't get knocked out. As soon as he said, after his post-fight interview, as soon as he said that, I kind of had this reminiscence of a guy called Terry Etim against Edson Barboza. Anyway, but Paddy, he missed weight, couldn't be a title fight. And secondly, he did get rocked. As much as he wants to say he's not going to get knocked out, you can't keep getting rocked because it's not the first time he's had it done in fights. When he goes up another level and the guys who are better strikers and they hit a bit harder, he's going to have a bit of a tough time.
More often,
Yeah. You had Chris Fishgold win lightweight title against Adam Bousif. Well done to him. It was, let's be honest, bound to happen. Now, I'm not saying that Jack Marshman, beat Christopher Jacqueline for the middleweight title. Now, well done to him. I'm not saying, though, that... Because, by the way, a lot of those guys are on Graham Boland and Ian Dean's fight management. And I'm not saying they pick certain fighters in certain times for fighters to fight. But sometimes they do. But at the same time, it was a good fight card. It was on UFC Fight Pass. I enjoyed it. I'm sure you did as well, Mike.
Yeah, very much so. And it probably got seen by an awful lot more people with as a warm-up for the UFC that night.
Well, I said that as well. I was saying you're probably going to get more eyes due to the fact that it's on.
Yeah, international eyes, yeah.
Okay, let's go to the first card of that week, Mike, which was the Ultimate Fighting Night, which the main event was Eddie Alvarez, Rafael Santos card. Performances-wise, Mike, there was a handful of great submissions, basically 5 submissions in a row. It was absolutely insane. I thoroughly enjoyed the start of the whole card. The Pedro Munoz against Russell Donin. Guillotine choke was beautiful, masterful setup and choke. But let's talk, Mike, about Joe Duffy quickly. Came up against Mitch Clark. Was due and expected to win, but at the same time, the way he won, Mike, super impressive.
Yeah. If you're going to lose your last fight, that's how to come back. He dropped him with what looked like a fantastically placed shot, and then
there's a right hand, Mike.
and then finished him, on the ground with a good submission. That's how you answer your critics. It's and fast as well.
It was just 25 seconds. It was a suitable opponent, Mitch Clark, for Joe Duffy to come back to. Fight of the night was Alan Jouban against Belal Muhammad. Absolute barn burner, great fight. Really enjoyed it. Belal has got a hell of a chin getting dropped. I don't know how many times and coming back, and then
I know.
In the third round, cranked it up and nearly had Jouban finished. Let's go main event, Mike. Eddie Alvarez, Rafael Santos.
Yeah.
Eddie Alvarez became the new lightweight champion for the UFC. Absolutely murdered. Went through Rafael Santos. It was insane. No one expected it. First round, just TKO. It's just mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Well done to him. He is the guy who's went everywhere else and done fantastic. And he finally now, he's like Robbie Lawler's story, where, he was great everywhere else, came back to UFC, Robbie Lawler, and won the welterweight title. It was like a beautiful story. I think same with Eddie Alvarez. It's almost like I've said it before, it seems like the guys who have these kind of stories are underdogs. They show that persistence, not giving up. I said this with Daniel Levy on the podcast we did together. Not giving up, just really shines, and it really proved it there in that fight.
Yeah, it's that goes to show you that experience really, really does pay off. If you can go through your career and maybe not take like a shed load of damage, so that physically you can stay quite youthful, that experience really does pay off. That experience is probably like a massive weapon you can bring to a fight, whether it be experience in dealing with the pressure or of just fight week alone, when you're going into a title fight as a challenger, just being able to deal with that, because you have been around it for so long.
Well, he's won belts in multiple organizations as well. So
exactly. Yeah.
I know it's a different level, but at the same time, it's not like he was new to this scenario and position.
Yeah.
And he just had this air of confidence. And working with Mark Henry was a big factor in it. He went off and worked with Mark Henry a lot, did a lot of work with him, and it showed. The two of them.
And I do believe, obviously, working with Frankie Edgar as well, having him peaking at the same time for a title fight. So you've got two guys both peaking for title fights. So you're both training for a 5-rounder, and it's. It
was good.
I think that was a big help. Yeah.
Next card was the tough finale card. Main event was Joanna Jacek against Claudia Cadella. Jake Matthews lost to Kevin Lee. Both of them are young, exciting prospects. Kevin Lee came back with a great performance, a very aggressive performance, and finished Jake Matthews. I'm not taking anything away from his performance, but perhaps that 18-hour flight to get to Vegas from Australia probably took a toll on Jake Matthews. He probably should have came to Vegas a lot earlier and got himself acclimatized and got himself ready. I'm not saying that's the reason why he lost, but he did. He looked a bit lethargic in the fight, not looked the same kid.
Yeah,
but it happened. That's by the by.
You think to yourself, like, when you've got these important fights and you are on a totally different thing, you could fly into California, say 3 weeks before, and hook up with some a gym somewhere or something. I mean, they've got these UFC gyms all over America. So even if you don't want to go to somebody else's gym, you can go to a UFC gym and set up there.
He'll learn from this, though. Jake Matthews will learn from it, take a lot from it. He's still young. He's still growing. Also in the fight, you had Do Ho Choi, who, again, looked fabulous against Thiago Tavares. Absolutely just murdered him with this powerful hand. Looked like nothing. Like, he threw it just, casually. Absolutely messed up Tavares. That guy is a fun, exciting prospect in the sense of he just looks like he's having a field day in that division. Look, the main event, though, Mike, my fight of the weekend, absolutely loved it. It was bloody amazing. JJ against Claudia. Now, it was an absolute majority decision to Joanna Jacek. Unanimous decision. Sorry, not majority. Unanimous decision. Those first 2 rounds, Claudia is a monster. Claudia Cadella is a great 3-round fighter.
Yes.
But the problem she had this time, as opposed to the last time with Joanna, was Joanna had a far greater defense on the takedowns when she was down and getting up. She really caused Claudia to work a lot harder, tire herself out, and she just expended so much energy. Then when come the 3rd round, Joanna saw it and she just cranked that up.
It was. I mean, don't get me wrong, Claudia showed her toughness, because she was spent for those last 2 rounds. She had no gas left, and yet she still plugged away, still scored the odd takedown, I think any lesser fighter would have been finished in those last 2 rounds, if they were that gassed, as she was, and she managed to stay in there, and, if nothing else, she showed her grit. And you can't train grit. You've either got it or you haven't, So she's got that. It's just, the mountain was just a little too high for her.
It reminded me, Mike, of the kind of situation with Cain Velasquez and Junior Santos a few years back, where Joanna was number 1, and Kane's number one, and JDS any other time would be champ, and Claudia feels to me like that's
yeah. If she moves up a weight, Claudia's straight in there, and she's champion. I mean, yeah, she's a small girl as well, like, you know, it's in like height and reach, you know, and
Claudia, yeah, she's stout, but that's what makes her takedown so strong, and in jiu-jitsu, that's why.
Yeah, if you can look small at that weight, you know what I mean. It's, but yeah, it's like fight of the whole fight week, I think.
Oh yeah, it was stupidly fun, stupidly great fight. I was so happy watching that fight card. Oh.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
So, Mike, let's go to UFC 200.
Yeah.
And
you know,
the card itself.
Right.
Let's get a handful of fights out, because, to be fair, that fight card was not amazing.
No, but I tell you, somebody who I was really impressed to see sort of actually go out there and take a fight by the horns and win it well, Mousasi. Thank God Mousasi turned up, because I get frustrated with him. But sometimes he doesn't show, but this time he did, and he looked very good.
He did turn up. Now, Thiago Santos is a very dangerous opponent, but the problem was Thiago isn't one of those top 15 guys at the time. Mousasi was expected to win. And the thing was, though, Thiago made such a silly, basic, rookie error that lost him that fight. Like, getting up with both hands on the ground was beyond me. How he got up, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what I was watching. And, that just, I don't know what he was thinking. I've no idea. And Mousasi just took advantage of what was there.
Yeah.
If he hadn't done that, it would have been it probably would have been not a different fight, but it would have been a bit more difficult, as in, because he just didn't get murked. Yeah.
But it was good to see him in an exciting fight with an exciting finish, because sometimes we don't see that with Mousasi. You know, he still stays a little too cautious sometimes, and in this one, he just seemed to take advantage of every opportunity, shall we say.
Again, we can talk about a lot of the fights and a lot of results on the card, but let's talk about Cain Velasquez coming back against Travis Brown. Cain Velasquez, I was really tentative in the sense of I didn't know what Cain we were going to get, in the sense of, with all the surgeries he's had, is his body going to perform? I wasn't sure if it would affect him. And especially when Travis Brown landed that first right hand early on, I thought, oh, no way, this is nuts, because he beat Travis Brown every day of the week.
Yeah, he clean.
He just absolutely just destroyed Travis Brown. After that, Travis didn't do nothing. It was all Cain. And
even the wheel kicks. Where'd the wheel kicks come from?
Those spin wheel kicks were absolutely beautiful. Beautiful. Absolutely. The problem was, Cain needs to realise he was fighting a guy who's 6'8". Probably want to use him on the guys who are a little bit shorter.
But you know what? It's for a guy that's not known for wheel kicks, and to do them and to do them well.
Well, this is one of the things, Mike.
Which is another new weapon that we haven't seen of him before.
He's evolving. Like him and Luke. Luke will be doing that, and Cain will have went, look, how do you do that? And he would have just done it over and over again, and eventually
repetition.
Had confidence to throw it, and it was a good idea. Plus, he's fighting Travis Brown. Travis Brown ain't going to be shooting him for no takedown. So when that kind of thing comes along, he ain't going to be shooting to grab that leg. Performance-wise, Jose Aldo looked absolutely phenomenal. Like, he looked amazing against Frankie in a fight that was expected to go the other way by a lot of people. Aldo just fought in a way that no one thought he would.
Yeah, and I do believe Frankie turned up. I just think Jose was just that much better.
Brock Lesnar, Mark Hunt, Mike. I'm
impressed with Brock. I was impressed. I honestly believed that Mark Hunt would at least catch him at some point.
Well, he did.
And be enough to put him on Queer Street. He did catch him. Brock took it. And carried on.
Did all right. He did good with it.
And he elected to stand with Mark Hunt an awful lot more than what I thought he would.
He did, but the thing was, it was the fact that he can manage that range because Mark Hunt was not chasing, like, wasn't trying to close that gap down. It was a good, it was good for Brock to get back and do that, because do you know what? It might spur him on to keep going. That win might
you know what? It's interesting. It's interesting because we've just seen him fight a guy that I think most people thought was going to beat him.
And like I said, Mike, Brock wins, Reem wins.
I definitely feel that Kane should get the next shot at the title after the Miocic. And
yes, I know, but let's.
But do you know what? Whoever wins that fight, you've got to say to yourself, you know what? Give Brock another fight, and then I don't know who against. I mean, who would you put him in against? But if Brock can get another win, straight away he goes into a title fight.
Oh yeah, I agree. Look,
because you know what, he does create money.
He does. Let's go with Amanda Nunes, Miesha Tate. That was an emphatic win. I think, again, a lot of people had Miesha Tate win the fight. I was one. Bucky's had by a clear favourite. Amanda Nunes, though, smashing Miesha Tate with that first right hand, that first combination that landed, just changed the whole complexion, changed the whole fight. And you saw Miesha Tate just go to the shell, and that was it. It was the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
And I like the fact
we didn't believe that it would happen, but it's.
And I like the fact that Amanda Nunes can speak English, not the best, not fluent, but do you know what? That will bode her very well for kind of exposure,
marketing,
and attention, and marketing. It does help a big time. So I was super impressed that she can hold her own with the speaking. So kudos to her for that.
I was going to say, it's amazing how you take Ronda Rousey out of the picture. That belt can't stay in the same wardrobe for long, can it?
It really can't. And that shows the difference between all those girls in that weight class where I said it. I think I said
it's very close. Yeah. Well, we were saying it over a year ago. We were saying it a couple of years ago. How take Ronda Rousey away and everyone's at that sort of similar level.
I said that as well, but I recall talking about that, and it's proven itself. Amanda Nunes, though, who's she fighting next? I obviously celebrate a win, but I think she might get the winner of Holm is Shevchenko, but then again, she might get Juliana Penick at Zingano. I think it depends how Holm and Shevchenko goes down, because if one of them gets an absolute killer knockout, that performance is a lot greater than...
you can leapfrog. You can leapfrog.
You can leapfrog with a performance. So look, that's a quick look at UFC International Fight Week.
On the whole, it was a good week.
It was a good week. If I gave 200 a grade, I would be like B-. It wasn't like... It won't be a card. Like, I remember 100 more vividly than I remember 200 probably. I remember 200 maybe for external factors rather than the fights themselves.
I think that the one that I went to back in December, the 3-card in a week, I think I enjoyed that more. But we had the craziness of Conor being there as well, and the Irish fans, which, like it or not, guys, they do add to the atmosphere. You know, those Irish fans bring an atmosphere that isn't there without it. I've been to Vegas without the Irish fans, and I've been to Vegas with the Irish fans, and it's totally different. You know, it is more fun.
It is more fun, but look, that's those fight cards. We're going to go into this week with there's two fight cards to really talk about, because this is why we're doing a podcast now, because on Wednesday night or Wednesday evening, wherever you are in the world, UFC have got another fight card on. I just can't fit it all in. It's too much. But anyway, let's talk about a couple of fights on the card. I like the fact that you got Ben Nijim against Lewis Smolka. Flyweight fight. Two guys are super fun guys to watch. Impressive. I've got Lewis Smolka on that one anyway.
I have. I think he's just getting better and better. And the guy's only got one loss, I think.
Yeah, he's only got one loss. He's a really impressive kid. Yeah. I like the look of him. You got a tough one here because you got Tim Boetsch against Josh Saman, and I look at it and I think I thought Tim Boetsch was going to go back up to 205. He's still kicking around at 185. Tim Boetsch, one of them ones where I think how many times is he going to get that?
Yeah,
he can stay a bit longer.
He's got so many pink tickets pinned to a board somewhere. You know, it's
Tony Ferguson, who's fighting Landon Veneta, who's he's only 4-0, and he's fighting Tony Ferguson, who's 20-3, but
and on fire, shall we say?
Thing is, Landon Veneta is actually he's a Jacksonville Winklejohn guy, super unorthodox, random combinations. I've watched some of his fights. He is not a bad fighter at all. I do believe Tony Ferguson's going to have his way with him, but at the same time, the kid's in the UFC now. He's got to stab. He's stepped up short notice, stepping up to the plate.
I was going to say it's a dangerous fight for Tony Ferguson because he goes in there and doesn't look good. In a lot of people's eyes, he'll say, like, hang on, you're fighting a guy who is having his debut in the UFC and only 4 fights in.
The thing is, his punches chance, different opponents, all sorts of external factors. But John Lineker fighting Michael McDonald, that is a great fight. I'm loving, do you know what, the bantamweight division has suddenly got a hell of a lot more appealing in the past few months. It's like the fighters and the matchups that can
for sure.
And this is one of them. John Lineker, I think he's got the power over Michael people out, but obviously John Lineker's got power. But the thing is, Michael McDonald, he'll have that speed advantage and that reach advantage. I
was going to say, like, the size of Michael McDonald against John Lineker, it's John Lineker looks a weight division lower. He does, you know, when they stand side by side, you know, Michael McDonald looks so much longer, and you know, I think it could play a factor. It depends. I hope we get that striking war. I hope we do get that striking war.
It needs to play a factor, definitely. So we're going to go to the Bellator card happening in the UK. I know a lot of you will be thinking, is that happening? Yeah, because a lot of people... it's happening, so we'll talk about it. There's a handful of matchups that are happening. Again, I can't get super excited, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, there's
a couple of faces that I'm looking forward to. The fact they've got that chance, so to speak, to fight there. You've got Jack Mason fighting Jason Radcliffe. Dean Garnett is fighting Louis Toaster. Then you've got, I like the fact that you've got Michael Page fighting Cyborg. Am I excited about that fight? I don't know about yourself, Mike, but I'm not uber excited about that.
What I will say is with Cyborg, this is Mr. Cyborg. He's lost some of that. He is tough, but that durability seems to be leaving him now. And you know, I think against Michael Page, who I can't see him losing that one.
Well, he had a bit of a hiatus, let's say. You know, I think if I recall, he stopped fighting. I think it was like 2010 or 2011, maybe somewhere around there. And he had a break from the fight game. Let's say he had a few losses, a couple losses. Like he was just like winning one every 3 or 4, and then he came back, and you know, he won a couple of fights, and then. He lost the fight.
And what also he did, which I think is not really good for a fighter, is he danced around the weights. You know, he fought as light as welterweight at one point, and he's spent most of his time at light heavy.
Mike, do you know what Michael Van Page is?
He's a light heavy, is he? No, middle. Oh, come on, brains.
He's welterweight.
Oh, he is welterweight. Yeah. Santos spent. Santos spent a long time at light heavy. A long time at light heavyweight. You know, it's.
Yeah, Mike Matrione, Ollie Thompson, not bothered. Paul Daly, Douglas Lima. That's a fun fight.
Yeah,
that is a good fun fight. But other than that. Yeah, it's happening. Yeah. I'm not that arsed. I'm just mentioning it because I'm just because it's in the UK.
There's definitely a few surprises on there, like Neil Grove coming out of retirement. and fight.
Yeah, well, he's probably just fighting a one-off because of the fact that it's a short notice fight. Because Paul Hearn was meant to fight Mark Godbeer, was it? Yeah.
So,
anyway,
I think for homegrown fighters, there's an opportunity to get themselves out there and on an international stage, like Ollie Thompson.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There is a bit of a pro, but I'm kind of a bit deflated with the way Bellator's been going with Scott Coker's reign. I can't believe the way it's gone. So I'm not that. I can't get into it that much. I can't.
I think there's been a little bit too much of the WrestleMania sort of.
Back up that double chin, lad. Covered quite a lot there with that double chin when you came up there, Sunshine. Just stay there. You there, Mike? Back up.
Yeah, it's I think the WrestleMania sort of feel to it is. Let's leave that with WrestleMania.
Yeah, defo. Look, that's happening. We try to cover as best we can. I say as briefly as we can, but we did ramble on a bit too much to start with Jon Jones, folks. But look, that's this week. We'll be back next week when there'll be a little bit less to talk about, and maybe there'll be more news. Let's be honest, there'll be probably quite a bit of news the way the sales are going. Jon Jones, be more information going down. We might get more test results, but on the fighters, who fuck knows? Anyway, we're back soon. Have a great week, everyone. Enjoy the fights. We certainly will.